JOKERNORY, 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 JOKERNORY.
One afternoon at tea time, Sally Smith looked out of the window and saw the most extraordinary sight. Through the sky flew 3 witches on broomsticks, and on the middle one sat a tiny little witch holding onto her hat in the wind. Sounds a bit familiar, doesn't it? I wonder if she knows a cat and a dog and a frog. Ma'am! Screamed Sally. Come and look. There are witches flying through the sky and they're coming this way. Don't be silly, called Mrs. Smith. You really must learn to stop making up stories. She's right as well, you know. I mean, it's a slippery slope, really. Starts with the stories. Before you know it, bish, bash, bosh. Hello, 10 years. Anyway. But Sally Smith knew what she had seen with her own eyes. Well, you would, wouldn't you? You would. And if you read this story, you will find that every word she said was true. Well, I think we'll be the judge of that, won't we? Yes. Here we are, said the warlock, getting off his broomstick. Number 22. Not bad, is it? Titchywitch pulled a face. Well, I suppose it's all right for a house, she said. But it's not half as nice as our cave. Yeah, I know what she means by that. I know someone who's got a bit of a cave. Full of stuff. Full of stuff! Yeah. No, said Big Witch with a sigh. But now they've cut down our forest and built a road over our home. We'll just have to try and live like humans, and that's that. I know what she means, actually. It's like the suburban fox thing all over again, innit, you know? I got one living next door to me, actually. He's a bit rough, but, you know. Eats all my odds and sods that I don't want, so it's all right, innit? Anyway. The family walked into the kitchen. Titchywitch gasped with disappointment. But it's horrible! There's no spiders or Spider-Man or bats or Batman or anything.
It was horrible. There wasn't even any dust or nothing, no cobwebs.
Never mind, said the warlock, who seemed to be rather more pleased with the house than anyone else. We'll have it looking like home in no time. Yeah, go down the tip, get some bags of rubbish, chuck it all over the place, do some drawings on the wall like cave art or something. I don't know. I've never lived in a cave. Usually witches sleep in the daytime, you know, and go out on their broomsticks at night. But that evening, Warlock announced that they would all go to bed at night, just like humans. Titchywitch sulked all the way through supper and refused to eat her snail shells and nettle soup. Oh, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Probably would be too, but I bet. She was absolutely certain that she would never, ever like living in a house, even if she lived to be 932 years old, which she probably wouldn't. She'd a witch though, I suppose, so say never. Lying in her hammock, Titchywitch found it impossible to sleep. Impossible. Mum and Dad could pretend to be humans if they liked, but she was going out on the broomstick, and that was that. Yeah, I kind of like her style. Yeah, you got to admire people who do what they think they want to do, I suppose. Yeah. Back to the story then. Sally Smith was lying in bed when she heard a voice coming from the next door garden. Got blinking good hearing, isn't she? I don't mean earring. Hearing, you know. Double bubbles, boil and troubles, it said. She put her slippers on and she crept downstairs and into the garden. Double bubbles, boils and troubles. Standing on her toes, she looked over the top of the hedge. There was a tiny little witch standing in the garden. I knew it, she said to herself. Know it all, isn't she? Brilliant hearing, knows everything. Met her sort before. They usually dress in black. Sally crawled through the gap in the hedge. Are you a real witch? She asked. Don't think I'd have said that. Probably got a big stick or something. Of course, replied Titchywitch crossly. And I suppose you're a real human. She poked Sally with her finger. You're all warm, she said. Where did she poke her? Titchywitch explained about the house and how she hated it and how everything was wrong and round and back to front and just wrong. I've got hundreds of troubles, she said. I was just doing a spell to turn them into toads when you interrupted me. She held up her arms, a little bit miffed like. You would be. Double bubbles, troubles be toads. Double bubbles, troubles be toads. All of a sudden, the garden was full of slippery, slimy toads croaking at the tops of their voices. And now I can fly off on my broomstick, she said. If you promise not to tell, I'll possibly show you how. Interesting. Wonder what that's going to cost her. Titchywitch took Sally into the garage. There were two big broomsticks side by side. These are Mum and Dad's, she said. Mine's only a baby one. Yeah, well, but it can go quite fast. Do you want to go for a ride? Oh, hello. What, now in my nightie at night? Asked Sally Smith. Well, of course, said Titchywitch. But as there are two of us, we'd better go on Mum's. I do know how to ride it. I don't think she does, somehow. And before she knew what she was doing, here it comes. Sally was sitting behind Titchywitch on the big broomstick. Stars and moon and nighttime sky make my broomstick fly, fly and fly. Did it? Did it fly? Well, let's find out. Well, we would if I could turn the page. There we go then. Expert page turner. And Big Witch's broomstick rumbled and shook and zoomed off into the sky at an astonishing speed. Up they flew. Oh dear, said Titchywitch, it's going too fast. Make it go slower, said Sally. I'll just twiddle this thing, said Titchywitch, turning a knob on the front. But the broomstick seemed to go even faster. And soon they were so high above the clouds that they couldn't even see the earth. That is a very, very long way away. You don't know how to work it, do you? Screamed Sally, almost in tears. Yeah, could have told her this was coming. Not really, admitted Titchywitch. We're in trouble now. Well, you will be, young lady. Oh, yes, you will. Round and round they whooshed like a rocket on fireworks night. Sally had a sick feeling in her tummy, like that time she went on the Big Dipper at the fair. You know, she had the lollipop and it was going round and round and round, and then she was like, choo, lollipop went off. And then no. Took pictures and everything. Then all of a sudden Titchywitch called out, I've remembered! She pulled back the brake. The broomstick rattled and shook, slowed down and steadied itself. The girls had a chance to look around. Gasped Titchywitch, I've never been up this high before. It must have been very, very high indeed. They were so close to the stars they could almost touch them. Down below, they could see the lights of the town twinkling. Apparently, it was lovely. Once Titchywitch had mastered the broomstick, it was great fun. Yeah, it is, isn't it, when you sort it out? They went backwards and forwards, forwards and backwards. Then they tried flying upside down. Good job they weren't in a helicopter. Can't do that in a helicopter. Can we fly to my house? Asked Sally. So I can wave to my mum. Yeah, like that. I do that. I'll have a photo taken and I'll have a hello mum sign in it. Yeah, gotta love your mum, haven't you? Back on Earth, Mrs. Smith was putting away the dinner when she happened to look out of the window. She blinked once. You can imagine it, can't she? Be like, rubbing her eyes. Had she really seen Sally flying past the window on a broomstick? Maybe somebody spiked their drink, she's thinking, I bet. Oh, dearie me, cried Mrs. Smith, rushing out of the door in her slippers. Outside, the most astonishing sight met her eyes. Oh, she didn't talk like that. That's not how she's talking. I'll say it again. Outside, the most astonishing sight met her eyes. On the pavement stood a witch, and by her side, a big warlock. And that is not a metaphor. Or is it? Who knows? Come down at once, shouted the warlock, waving his cloak about furiously. That's my Sally up there, screamed Mrs. Smith. Do something. But the broomstick kept on going. Up, and then down and round and backwards and sideways and forwards. Yeah, make you pretty sicky, wouldn't it? There's nothing for it, said Big Witch quietly. You'll have to use the spell. Moondust, stardust, above the town. Catch these girls and bring them down. Yes, bring them down. He threw up his arms and a great whoosh of pink stardust shot up into the sky, enveloped the broomstick and gently carried the two naughty girls down to earth. Probably with a bang. Oh no, I was wrong. With a bump.
Ow!
They landed with a bump in Mrs. Smith's front garden, strangely enough. Of all the places, eh? Sally looked up at Mum. I told you there were witches living next door, she said. She's lucky she wouldn't turn into a toad or something herself. She wouldn't have been able to say anything then, would she? She'd have been a frog for a bit. Then everyone started to speak at once. No one noticed Titchywitch and Sally creep off by themselves to the back garden. There wasn't a toad to be seen. Yeah. Looks like all my troubles have gone, said Titchywitch. Oh, no, didn't it? If only life were that easy. Yeah, they've all gone now that you are my friend. And she looked like that as well, she did. And suddenly she thought it wasn't going to be so bad living in a house after all. Oh, lovely. Oh, it's a lovely book about witches and friends and stuff in it. Yeah, nice.